In 2008, Manchester City broke the British transfer record to sign Robinho. He was destined to be the best player in the world and was nicknamed the Next Pele by the legend himself. So, how did he find himself going from football's most promising talent to now serving a long prison sentence? The rise of Robinho was truly magnificent, however, his downfall has been something to not be overlooked. Let's look at the rise and fall of Robinho. Robinho was born into a suffering, poverty-stricken family in Sao Paulo, Brazil, on January the 25th, 1984. As a young child, he enjoyed kicking tennis balls around the street for hours every day. He would join in with street football matches, but he was the only kid in his neighbourhood that excelled that much in the game. At only 6 years old, he was noticed by the scout of a local futsal team, which was responsible for developing his dribbling and acceleration skills. Young Robinho was the top scorer and leader of that team. In fact, in one season, he scored an amazing 73 goals. At the age of 9, he moved on to Portarios, another five-a-side futsal team. It was here where he was spotted by professional team Santos. The Santos scout was so impressed by Robinho's agility and eye for goal that he was signed by the club and included in their five-a-side team, to then be moved into the 11-a-side academy. Robinho rose through the ranks at Santos' youth teams and caught the attention of Brazilian icon Pele, who at the time was among the managers of the Santos Youth Academy. At just 15, Pele closely watched Robinho train and publicly stated that this boy was his heir to the throne and would be the next Pele. He was constantly watched and mentored by Pele, who even decided to move him to live in a dormitory inside the Santos Stadium. In 2002, in what would be his last season with Santos' youth team, Robinho went on to lead Santos to their first Campeonato Brasileiro title since Pele himself played for the club. On the 18th of August 2002, he made his debut in the first team in a 2-1 win against Botafogo. And on the 5th of September 2002, he scored his first goal in the league against Victoria in a 3-0 win. At the end of the season, he won his first national championship at the age of 18, scoring 10 goals in 30 appearances in his debut year as a professional. In 2003, he became an indispensable starter and played 53 games, scoring 8 times in the league and 7 times in the Copa Libertadores. 2004 was his breakthrough year. Robinho scored 32 goals in 55 matches, 21 in the Brazilian league alone, where he finished 3rd in the goal-scoring charts behind Alex Diaz, teammate David and Washington, and was instrumental in helping the club win the 2004 league, their second title in 3 years. It was the most prolific year of his career, and at the end of the season, he was Santos' top scorer in all competitions. In 2004, Robinho finished 3rd behind Argentina's Carlos Tevez and Javier Mascherano in the Ballon d'Oro and won the Bola de Ouro as the best player of the 2004 Brazilian League. That summer, he had been brought to the attention of many European clubs, but Robinho remained with Santos after they had rejected all offers. His form suffered in the 2005 season, however, after his mother, Marina da Silva Souza, was kidnapped by gunmen at her Praia Grande home on the 6th of November. She was released unharmed 6 weeks later after a ransom was paid. Robinho scored 9 goals in 12 league games, and his value continued to increase as his talent became more and more apparent to the powers of European football. Santos began to realise it would become increasingly difficult to hold on to their star player. It was in July 2005 when Spanish giants Real Madrid signed Robinho by agreeing to pay a fee equal to 60% of the buyout clause in his contract belonging to Santos, which was 24 million euros. A 5-year contract was agreed and Robinho was awarded Real Madrid's iconic number 10 shirt, previously worn by Portuguese star Luis Figo. Robinho's purchase could be compared to that of Galacticos, being immediately considered among the most important players in the entire Spanish La Liga. Robinho was just 20 at the time of the transfer and this put a lot of pressure on the young player's shoulders. Despite this, Robinho lived up to the expectations he had raised, teaming up with stars such as Zidane, Roberto Carlos and Casillas with consistent performances, and was one of the most used players of the 2005 to 2006 season. His first year with Los Blancos ended with a tally of 51 games and 12 goals. As a result, Robinho was named in Brazil's squad for the 2006 FIFA World Cup in Germany. During the tournament, he was mainly used as a substitute, with the established forwards Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Adriano and Kaká starting in attack. However, he was named in the starting lineup for Brazil's third group match, a 4-1 defeat of Japan. He made a third substitute appearance of the tournament in Brazil's 1-0 quarter-final defeat by France. Back in Madrid, his second season there ended up being the most difficult of his career so far. Then coach Fabio Capello often preferred players such as Beckham, Ronaldo Nazario or Cassano to Robinho, which prevented him from playing consistently. It was only towards the end of the season that the Italian coach returned to playing him as a regular starter. The season ended with Robinho winning the La Liga title, to which he still made a valuable contribution with 32 appearances and 6 goals. And that summer, he claimed the Golden Boot and Player of the Tournament award as Brazil won the 2007 Copa America, having been little more than a squad member at the previous year's 2006 World Cup. Robinho returned to Madrid and was selected back into the starting lineup under new coach Bernd Schuster, scoring 11 goals and 14 assists in the league, as well as 6 goals in the 2007 to 2008 Champions League. Towards the middle of the season, Robinho suffered an injury, which kept him off the field until the 3rd of March 2008, when the Brazilian returned, scoring 2 goals in Real Madrid's win against Recreativo. This game allowed the team to reach first place in the league, which the Blancos eventually managed to win, securing their 31st national title, and at just 24, Robinho's 4th personal title in Brazil and Spain. However, Real Madrid made no secret of their desire to sign Cristiano Ronaldo that same summer, and Robinho took that as an insult, given they play in similar positions. When Real Madrid failed to land Cristiano Ronaldo, they attempted to negotiate a new contract with Robinho, which he rejected and led to him wanting a transfer to Chelsea, who were favourites to sign him. On the 1st of September 2008, the final day of the Premier League summer transfer window, Robinho completed a €41 million, £32.5 million move to Manchester City, who made him Britain's most expensive footballer on a 4-year deal. This occurred on the same day the club was taken over by an Arab investment company. On the 27th of August, Chelsea chief executive Peter Kenyon said that the club were confident that the transaction would go through, and Madrid had also given their consent for the player to leave. Robinho's expectancy to move to Chelsea was such that upon signing for Manchester City, he accidentally stated, "On the last day, Chelsea made a great proposal and I accepted." To this comment, a reporter then replied, "You mean Manchester, right?" "Yeah, Manchester, sorry." After a promising start to the season and scoring 11 goals, the Brazilian's performance dropped considerably, partly due to some agreements with coach Mark Hughes. During a Manchester City training camp in Tenerife in January, Robinho returned to Brazil without the club's permission to celebrate his 25th birthday in his homeland. On his return to England, he was fined €300,000. Towards the end of the season, however, Robinho started to play with consistency again, scoring other important goals and ending the season in the 4th position in the 2008-09 English Premier League top scorers table, with 14 goals. His second season at Manchester City did not go as well. He missed 3 months of the season due to injury, and played only 12 games in total, 10 in the Premier League, in which he scored 1 goal against Scunthorpe United in the FA Cup. During this year, Robinho also had some disagreements with the new coach, Roberto Mancini. Due to this, he fell down the pecking order and sought a move away from the club in the January transfer window. He had offers from Sao Paulo and Benfica, but preferred to return back to Santos, aiming for a place on the Brazilian national team for the 2010 World Cup. Fortunately, on 28th of January 2010, Robinho was granted a loan back to Santos, the club that had introduced him to world football. Having passed all medical examinations and physical tests, Robinho made his debut against one of Santos' biggest rivals, Sao Paulo, in the classic game known as the San Sao. In the second half of the match, which was tied 1-1 at the time, Robinho scored the winning goal. Literally. His second spell at Santos was a successful one, resulting in 2 titles, Campeonato Paulista and Copa do Brasil. In the final match of his loan deal on the 4th of August, Robinho helped Santos win the Copa do Brasil. Although Santos lost 2-1 to Vitória, they won the tie 3-2 on aggregate to win the competition for the first time in their history. Robinho returned to training with Manchester City in August 2010, but stated that he was seeking a move away from the club before the end of the summer transfer window on the 31st of August. Turkish clubs Fenerbahce and Besiktas opened transfer negotiations with City, but Robinho rejected a move to Turkey, declaring that he would rather move to a club in Spain or Italy. This is where AC Milan comes in. Robinho was purchased alongside Zlatan Ibrahimovic in the shock last-minute August signings. Right away, Robinho teased Milan with his occasional world-class performances. In the 2011-12 season, he managed 14 league goals alongside Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Alexandre Pato. Milan won the Scudetto that year in Robinho's finest outing as a professional footballer. Unfortunately, this would be the last time the player would make a true impact on the club. Robinho suffered a groin strain early in the pre-season against Valencia in July 2013, which disrupted his preparation for the upcoming season. Robinho scored his only goal in Milan's Coppa Italia campaign at the San Siro in the quarterfinals against Spezia on the 15th of January 2014. However, while Robinho was playing in Italy, something truly horrifying happened, but we will come to that later. On the 5th of August 2014, after several lengthy negotiations, it was finally and officially announced that Robinho was returning to Santos on loan. He made his debut for Santos playing at Via Balmoral against rivals Corinthians, but ended up losing 1-0 in a match in the Brazilian Championship. In a match in the Brazil Cup against Londrina, he scored for the first time in his 3rd spell at Santos. On the 1st of October, Robinho passed the 100 goal mark for Santos after scoring twice against Botafogo. In 2015, with Edu Dracaena's departure to Corinthians, Robinho was the captain of Santos once again. Against Portuguesa in a Paulista Championship match, he scored twice and became the 2nd highest scorer in Santos' history, after the Pele era. In March, Robinho was crowned champion of the Paulista Championship after beating Palmeiras on penalties. Then, at the end of the season, after already rescinding his link with Milan in May, he left Santos after his contract expired, to instead move to Chinese side Guangzhou Evergrande, who were being managed by Luis Felipe Scolari, the same manager who tried to sign Robinho to Chelsea when he was there. At his new club, Robinho was assigned the number 60 jersey and signed a 6-month contract with a €12 million salary. He played as a left trequartista in Felipe Scolari's 4-2-3-1. At the end of the year, he won the Chinese League with 9 appearances and 3 goals. But on the 1st of February 2016, Robinho became a free agent after his contract expired with Guangzhou. He officially transferred to Atletico Mineiro on the 12th of February 2016, signing a 2-year contract. The following 6th of March, he scored a hat-trick in his 2nd game in the Mineiro against Tombense. On the 2nd of April, he scored 3 more goals against Villanova. At the end of the first half of the season, Robinho scored 9 goals in 6 matches in the Mineiro League, being the top scorer in the competition and helping to take Atletico Mineiro to the final stages of the league, which the club later won. He finished the season with 12 goals scored in 30 matches. Then, in May 2017, Robinho won his second consecutive Mineiro Championship by scoring in the final game where they won 2-1 against Cruzeiro. On the 31st of December 2017, Robinho left Atletico. He then joined Turkish club Sivasspor. Although he had not found the net since 14th of April 2018 during a victory with Fenerbahce, the Brazilian scored a stunning double against Bursaspor on 30th of September 2018. Then January 2019, he joined Istanbul Başakşehir, which was at the time in the first place of the Super League. He became the champion of Turkey's Super League in 2020. By the end of his contract with Başakşehir, he had played 25 matches. Finally, Robinho moved back to Santos in what was supposed to be his final move. However, everything went upside down. The announcement was met with criticism. Santos' sponsors threatened to end their relationship with the club if the contract was kept. And 6 days later, after the deal was agreed, Santos announced the termination of Robinho's contract. Unfortunately, the reason had been because of the sexual assault allegations towards Robinho. Robinho has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. However, Brazilian law states Robinho cannot be extradited and imprisoned in Italy, where the crime was committed. What Robinho had done was shocking and sickening. Robinho and 5 friends forced themselves upon a 23-year-old woman in a Milan nightclub. Robinho was exposed for admitting this act with texts to the other men involved, and even mocked the situation. His behaviour is disgusting, and it is upsetting to see a footballer who many idolised act this way. If you found the video interesting, then please do leave a like and subscribe.